To several of our forums. We do this every other month. Our next one will be in November, and we'll focus on HVAC. And we have others who are here, I think, for the first time. So welcome to the Syracuse Center of Excellence. We are a collaborative organization. Involves lots of partners, institutions, and firms from this central New York area, really across the state, and really around the world. Especially pleased to have a shout out here to Neil Murphy, who's joined us in the back row, president of SUNY ESF. He's come to, I think, heckle one of the presenters. Neil recognized that Neil was there the day that the Center of Excellence was conceived, and his DNA is involved. He was president of O'Brien and Gear at the time, and this is a conversation that goes back to 1998, and really it's been great to work with Neil in his capacity at ESF, and we're pleased to see you here today, to see all of you. This program of R&T forums is organized as one of the programs that's supported by the partners of Syracuse Center of Excellence. And we thank our partners for their support. And if there are firms or institutions that are in the room that are not yet partners, I'd encourage you to speak to Tammy Rosanio, who manages our partner program. Tammy would be happy to explain the benefits and opportunities for partners that are part of our program. What else should I be saying before I introduce you? Excellent. Oh, no one else. So the other thing to keep in mind, our annual symposium will start on the evening of October 10th, so Wednesday, with a presentation by Bill McKibben, the internationally known activist on issues relating to sustainability and climate change. We'll be giving a lecture that is really our opening keynote. It will be given at Hendricks Chapel on the Syracuse University main campus at 7:30. And then on Thursday the 11th, we have a full slate of presentations at the On Center. And on Friday the 12th, we have workshops here at the COE. So I'd encourage everybody to take a look at the program. In addition to McKibben, we have an opening keynote on Thursday morning by Bill Reed, so thought leader with respect to green buildings and regeneration of urban communities, and really a great program all day on Thursday. I think with that, I've finished my punch list. Is there anything else? So now Hugh Henderson of CDH Energy. He was the H in CDH. A firm in Cazenovia, a charter member of Syracuse COE, and a partner firm and a collaborator on lots of projects in the building, in the near west side. Hugh has a record of leadership with regarding concerning combined heat and power. There is, as you may know, NYSERDA has supported a project that Hugh's firm has executed to survey all of maintain a database on CHP installations in New York State. You can go to this website that Hugh's firm developed, and you can. Maybe we're going to do this as part of the presentation.
Just one slide.
Just click on it right now and see how much, what all of the CHP systems that are enrolled in the witbsite, what they're producing right this instant. I mean, that's a
yesterday.
Yes. So without further ado, why don't I turn the program over to Hugh Henderson. Hugh, okay. Thanks very much.
Okay, well, great. So we have three speakers today, and so what we want to do is talk about combined heat and power from a lot of perspectives, and I think we've got a good range of perspectives today. And the interesting thing, of course, that happened is on August 30th, there was an executive order saying how good CHP was from the Obama administration. It turns out New York State has known this for much longer than the federal government, but so we're pleased to back up the federal government, and we're happy they're catching up with us. So we'll talk a little about that, and I have one slide from those reports. But so first of all, what is CHP? And really, I think it's making power on site and doing something useful with the heat. And it's a little confusing because across the years it's had several names. It's had cogeneration, sometimes it's called distributed generation. Then there was this combined heating and power, CHP. Sometimes you have an extra C in there. And actually people, when you have two C's, people disagree about what they mean. But I always say it's combined cooling, heating and power. And there was also a B in there for buildings for a while. But it's really, and so the thing I like to say, the single thing I like to say about CHP, and of course the vendors of equipment scowl when I say this, but it's not about the equipment, it's about the building, right? So just because your equipment can put out 90% of the heat and power doesn't mean the building's going to want it. So it's all about matching the equipment to the building, and it's really more about the building than it is the equipment, in my experience, to measure how they work. And so for a facility to make sense for making power and heat on site, you have to have continuous thermal and continuous power needs. Most all buildings have continuous power needs at some level, but the thermal is really and actually the problem with thermal is that nobody knows what the loads are and there's a lot of uncertainty about it. But I think that's the important thing, and it almost never makes sense to take a building off the grid. I think people are too in love with doing all things. We need to get all our power from renewable. You need to do what's prudent, and I think CHP is all about finding that optimal mix. And really the bottom line is the hardware is expensive, so you gotta size it so that it runs all the time. This is why the residential versions of CHP really don't work out, even though it's cold in Syracuse and we have a long winter. That winter is still only a half to a third of the year, 40% of the year. There's still 60% of the time you don't need the heat. And so that's why, CHP works best where you have a lot of need for that. Here's just a drawing, so I think everybody kind of knows this in this group, but from the utility, you always have fuel goes in, and then about a third of that becomes power, and the rest of that heat gets thrown away. For a CHP system, you put in natural, and so we're going to be talking a little bit, we're going to talk about systems that use natural gas, and Mike is going to talk about one that uses biomass chips too. But basically it's all about, you have fuel going in, you make some power from that, then you also make heat. And it's a smaller system, so you tend to make a smaller, compared to a power plant, the electrical efficiency tends to be lower, but you more than make up for that by taking that heat that was going to be thrown away and doing something useful with it. And they all have losses in the grid. When in a power plant, there's losses from electricity making its way to your building, 6%, let's say. And then for a CHP plant, there's losses for all the pumps and other stuff you need to add to a system. But in the end, it's all about getting a higher percentage of that heat to do something useful in building. So here's the CHP report that came out from DOE and EPA just this past month that was kind of a companion to the executive order. What I like about this is it makes the comparison I always try to make to combined heat and power and photovoltaics and wind and a combined cycle plant. And CHP really has extremely good carbon benefits and primary energy benefits compared to all these technologies. And so really, so what I like to do is I like to take the capital cost and divide it by the carbon savings, and you have a cost per ton of carbon saved. So if that's your goal, CHP actually comes out maybe by a factor of 10 better than photovoltaics and things like that. So I think, and it turns out a kilowatt hour produced from the sun from the photovoltaic panel is no more valuable than one saved by a light bulb or one saved by having a combined heat power plant. So I think that so my kind of mantra is we need to leave behind words like renewable and get to metrics that compare things on an equal basis. I like this table because it does that. So here's from the website, here's all the sites in New York State where we have a CHP system installed. The overwhelming number is in New York City. I think it's probably 80 to 90% New York City. There are some upstate, you can see those. A good portion of the upstate ones are actually digesters and farms. So really, there's, so CHP sites, at least as part of the program at NYSERDA, have been slow to come upstate, but it is finally happening. So today's speakers, we've got Michael Kelleher from the Forestry School, so the ESF, and he's going to talk about a CHP system that's kind of a whole range of things to meet the building needs. It has a microturbine, making steam from that, we've got a biomass boiler, making steam from that, and a back pressure turbine to capture some power from that steam load. We've got John Moynihan from Cogen Power Technologies, and he's actually has several projects he's going to talk about where he basically turnkeys the whole project. He conceives, I don't know if you ever use this phrase, John, but I like conceiving, designing, and building a system. And I think CHP is one of these things that sort of lends itself to that model pretty well. And John's going to talk about that. And Ed Keir is going to talk about the incentive programs and things like this. And we were going to rearrange the schedule, but I guess so everybody is going to want to hear Ed and hear how much money there is. So maybe we'll keep him till the end so you stick around and know what we need.
That's the eye candy.
That's the